Hello, my name is Anna, and I have been wondering, does birth order have any effect on an individual's personality? We can see that even in the Bible, it emphasizes the difference in personality birth order may have. In the story of Jacob and Esau, we see that the older brother, Jacob, is extroverted, brave, and intelligent. We also see that Esau is very jealous and more of an introvert. This shows that birth order is something that has obtained some stereotypes. In 1928, Alfred Adler also wondered if birth order was a significant factor in building an individual's personality. He has been quoted, "Even though children have the same parents and growing up nearly in the same family setting, they do not have identical environments." What he meant with this is that through the years, parents may change their parenting styles. They may be very rigid and have high expectations for their children. As they have more children, they learn to be more relaxed with their rules and their rigidness. We have often heard young adults or adults complain that their younger siblings have had it much easier growing up than they did. So, in the studies that Adler did and many more that followed, what has been found? Well, there's evidence that shows that birth order does have an influence on personality. Many studies have been conducted using families with 1, 2, or 3 children. However, there are also studies that have found contradicting findings as well as non-significant results. First, let's talk about the evidence that has been found which supports the theory that birth order does have an influence on individuals' personality. The studies conducted in this field have been self-report studies, with some including the parents' report on their children's personality, and some even including a peer report of the subject's personality. Saraglou and Fietz, 2003, conducted a study and they found that firstborns are high in conscientiousness, have higher grades, are overachievers, and adhere to principles. In another study by Caret and Seal and Veni Perrin, 2011, they also found that firstborns have higher GPAs. In another study conducted by Eichenstein et al., 2010, they found some of the same characteristics as the previously mentioned studies. However, they found new characteristics such as firstborns are high in anxiety, high in assertiveness, high in extroversion, conforming, fearful, jealous, neurotic, organized, responsible, obedient, the least emotional, and creative. Basically, the firstborn is known as the bookworm. They always want to learn and always want to put forward their best effort. They're always striving for perfection, which would be an indication of the neuroticism. This also causes anxiety. The firstborns tend to get more attention from their parents. Parents usually have more time because it's only one child that they need to focus on. Eichenstein et al. Also found that they could apply these findings to the choices firstborns make in careers. For example, a firstborn is stereotyped to be more of an accountant, a lawyer, an architect, a police officer, a surgeon, a college professor, or an astronaut. Actually, the United States' first 16 astronauts were firstborns. However, some controversy comes up with a study performed by Paulette et al., 2010. They actually found that firstborns were significantly less extroverted than laterborns, and they had a sense of being less dominant and assertive. We'll come back to this and elaborate more in later slides. On to middleborn, or also known as laterborns. Saraglou and Fias, 2003, found that middleborns are said to be less religious. Religion is correlated with conscientiousness, which middleborns are low in. They are low in competence, achievement, and self-discipline, high in impulsiveness, and they tend to be very rebellious. Eichenstein et al. 2010 also found that middleborns are rebellious, high in openness to new experience, envious, and talkative. Caret and Seal and Veniperen 2011 found that contrary to firstborns who want to make sure they learn and do well academically, middleborns are motivated to win. As mentioned in Eichenstein's et al. Study, Carlson et al. 2006 proposed that characteristics of laterborns could be described as the game of teeter-totter. When one goes up, the other one goes down. In the case of siblings, as the firstborn becomes interested in, let's say, math, the middle or laterborn will ignore math and focus on something else, like sports. Again, Eichenstein et al. 2010 found that they could apply these findings to the choice in careers that laterborns are more likely to pick. For example, a laterborn is more likely to be a firefighter, high school teacher, musician, photographer, social worker, or a stuntman. Saraglou and Fias 2003 found that lastborns are high in agreeableness, high in warmth, highest in trust, they are straightforward, and they are low in openness, and they have empathy. They also found that they are like the firstborns in the sense that they also strive for educational achievement. Eichenstein et al. 2010 found that lastborns are most creative, the most emotional, and the most extroverted. They are disobedient, irresponsible, and very talkative. Now, as we previously mentioned, there are some contradicting findings in this field. For example, the study mentioned previously, conducted by Pallet et al. 2010, where they found that firstborns were significantly less extroverted than laterborns, and they had a sense of being less dominant and assertive. Another study was conducted by Carr et al. 1982. They saw no significant difference in terms of academic and introversion versus extroversion. They found that the only influence was that middleborns were the lowest in neuroticism compared to older and younger siblings. Then we have studies like Marini and Kurtz in 2011 and Shivastava 2011 that found, yes, birth order does have an influence on personality, but the findings were not significant, meaning what they found was that there was a difference, but it wasn't sufficient to say it does influence an individual's personality, and it will influence every individual's personality. So as we have seen, there is supportive evidence for the hypothesis as well as for the null hypothesis. So can we reject one? The answer is we cannot. We need to see if there are other variables that could have been responsible for these findings. For example, these studies were done in different countries. Perhaps the material that was being used lost its meaning while it was being translated, meaning the questions might have been worded in ways that lost the meaning that didn't mean the same thing in another language. One thing which we can see is that all studies found that there is an influence, even if in some studies it wasn't significant. So further studies should be done where we account for confining variables that may influence these type of findings. So this can help us know if birth order does in fact have an influence on an individual's personality.